Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the February 10th City Council meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Curran.
Here.
Councilmember Dewar.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Literal.
Here.
Councilmember Schwartz.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bales.
Here.
Mayor Adams.
Here. I will turn it over to Councilmember Literal.
Thank you. Can please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask everybody to just bow their heads for a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, as we gather today, we ask for your guidance and wisdom in our discussions. May we listen attentively to one another with open hearts and minds and make decisions that reflect your will. Bless our time together and help us work collaboratively for the greater good. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. We have an agenda before us. Any changes?
Move we approve the agenda, Your Honor.
Before we do that,
We're not ready to do that yet.
Oh, okay.
We have an amendment.
I'd like to move to remove item 13,
Oh,
the
yeah.
executive session, from the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to remove the executive session from the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now I take a motion to approve the amended,
Move to approve the agenda, Your Honor. I second.
as amended.
As amended, Your Honor.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we have two sets of minutes before us. January 21st work session. Any changes, corrections?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 21. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain. Thank you.
And then we have the January 27th regular meeting minutes. Any changes, updates, corrections?
Move to approve January 27th meeting minutes. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the January 27th meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing.
Case number PUD 22-4 SSP number 1, an application filed by DHC Partners, LLC, 7953 Washington Village Drive, Dayton, Ohio. The applicant requests specific site plan approval to allow for the construction of a community center and 30 multifamily buildings comprising of 52 townhouses and 32 patio homes on 13.929 acres. The properties are located at 2705 and 2735 Lillian Lane, further described as Book 4, Parcel 4, Parcels 6, 7, and 14 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you very much. Do we have an applicant present?
David Marshall, KBJW Engineers, here representing the owner and developer for our project here on Lillian Lane.
You have an address.
Gosh, you asked me too quick. 3125 Research Park, Kettering. So we're here before you to present our project. It is comprised of two types of units, what we call the townhomes, which you see before you here right there, and patio homes, which is a single story version. Material types on the building are brick, stone, I'm going to use the trade name, hardy plank. We have some accent for metal roofing, and then asphalt shingles for a majority of the upper roofs on the townhome. This is the front elevation of the unit. We carry those features on around the sides, and unlike a lot of your non-custom builders, developers. We've offset and bumped out things so it's just not a plain box on 3 of the 4 sides. So it's really, truly 4-sided architecture. So there's, hopefully will fit in the look and feel of Beavercreek, which has high standards, and our material reflect that. We're not proposing any vinyl siding or aluminum siding or things of that nature. They're all high-quality materials. And again, we move around to the back. I'm sorry, I'm old school. I like the paper instead of the videos, right?
I like it too.
So carry around the back, outside patio, some separation between neighbors, but yet still the connectivity of a community. This is the patio homes. There are 2 units per building. And we're carrying the same theme of architecture, using the same materials, stone, brick, hardy plank, accents for metal roofs. There'll be some, it's hardy plank, but it's a wood look. So there'll be some accents of that on both buildings. And again, some standing seam metal roofs for accent, but majority of the roofs will be asphalt shingle. And again, we carry those materials around to the sides and the back. We provide some relief, some stepping out. It's just not a rectangle opposite or in the back where you're not seeing the street view. So it is 4-sided architecture. Again, we provide some outdoor storage for the unit owners and outdoor patio to provide some outside entertainment and some privacy. However, again, it is connected to your neighbor, so there is some community there. This is the general layout of where the townhomes and patio homes will be, where we're providing stormwater detention and sidewalks. So the patio homes are in the center, surrounded on the outside by the townhomes. Access is provided off of Lillian Lane at 2 locations opposite existing intersections. And sanitary and water are provided by Greene County Sanitary. Trying to create a walkable community with street trees, sidewalks. So a nice setting, something nice for people to live. And our target market is the downsized market. It's the person who's lived here in Beavercreek all their lives, wants to stay, but doesn't want to be on that half-acre lot, but still wants a high-quality home. With that, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Staff? I do have one question. Did you draw all those by yourself?
I did not.
Okay.
Not personally, but we did have someone who did that, yes.
No, they were pretty good.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. The case you have before you is PUD 22-4. It's the specific site plan number 1 of this PUD. Again, the applicant's requesting approval to construct 84 units on about 14 acres of land of an overall 18.4 acre PUD. The property's in northern Beavercreek. It's just to the east of the intersection of New Germany Trebein and Pentagon Road. It comprises of 4 different parcels. Just to the west is the back of the DSW warehouse shopping center. To the south is the Hindu temple. To the east is multifamily condos. And then to the north of New Germany Trebein, you've got Kohl's, and then you've got some apartment units just to the east of Kohl's. On the site right now, there's a pretty big, steep ravine kind of splitting the two northern parcels. It goes down rather quickly and then back up rather quickly again. The two parcels on the south are relatively flat, and the two parcels in the middle each have a home that, should this be approved, they'll be removed for the construction of this site. Seen here is the site plan. This is a little bit difficult to see, so I did a colorized version. You can see the two access points, one towards the southern end of the project and then one towards the middle of the project. I know the ad read 32 patio homes and 54 townhomes, or 52 townhomes. In order to make the site work, they removed 2 patio homes and added 2 townhomes, but it's still the same number of units, 84 units, which comes out to about 4.6 dwelling units an acre. As a PUD overall, when it was rezoned in 23, it allowed up to 6 dwelling units an acre, which allowed up to 110 units. So there will still be room in the future for additional units. But the way this site is, it's almost going to have to be a standalone on the northern part that butts New Germany Trebein, because it's a 20-foot deep ravine between the two areas. I'm not saying it's not possible to get over there, but that would be challenging to connect this with the parcel to the northwest. They are proposing to add sidewalks all along Lillian Lane to connect. At the southern end of the property, there's a stub, and then at the northern end of the property, there's a stub. So with this project, they'll connect the 2 stubs to finalize the sidewalk on the west side of Lillian Lane all the way up to New Germany Trebein. The applicant did a good job of going over the architectural, so I won't go over that too much, but you can see the difference between the patio home, which is in the top left corner, and then the townhome in the right, and then they've got a pretty elaborate clubhouse there on the bottom left corner. And again, as the applicant stated, they do take those features around all 4 sides of the building so that there's no apparent rear of any of the buildings, that each have the brick and the stone and the hardy plank and the asphalt shingles, so they all look similar and surrounded on all 4 sides with architectural features. And you can see on the applicant's presentation, as well as up on the screen here, they do show a lot of landscaping that they're proposing to add to the site, and that helps soften the site. Instead of just all construction, you've got a lot of landscaping, and we've done that through every project that I've been a part of in the last 18 years, and almost every project going back to when the city incorporated. The landscaping does make a project look a lot more complete, and what they're showing is a good amount of landscaping throughout the site. I just want to go over a few conditions. One is that the architectural, the plans kind of came in at different times, so you'll see the site plan is dated for December, the landscape plan is dated in late November, and then the architectural is dated in early November, but there's conditions for each one, so they're properly dated. They just came in at different times. I just want to make sure that was clear. Also, being that there's residential to the south or to the east and then to the southeast, there's a proposed condition that no construction outside of about 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. So any outdoor construction, grading, framing, any of that has to be in those hours and can't be early in the morning or late at night. Also, this project is in the impact fee district, so they'll be subject to pay impact fees prior to any of the permits being released for the project. Just a ballpark on that, it's probably going to be around $90,000 in impact fees with this site. And those are put into the impact fee fund so that if there are any improvements needed on Lillian Lane or New Germany Trebein, anywhere in the impact fee district, those impact fees can be used to widen roads or add turn lanes or add traffic signals or whatever is warranted by engineering studies. Also, each unit has its own designated off-street parking space, and that each one of those must be, there's some that are really close, but there's a condition that each have to be at least 18 feet deep and cannot use the abutting 5-foot sidewalk as part of that 18 feet, because I've seen that in other neighborhoods, and when people are parking on the sidewalk, it makes it really difficult for the pedestrians. Took this to Planning Commission. They voted to recommend approval. Staff is recommending approval. This does meet all the conditions that were set in the PUD rezoning from 2023. It meets the density, meets the uses, and again, staff's recommended approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions that Planning Commission or anyone else has following the public hearing.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak to this, please come forward and state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes. You can get an additional 6 by having them donated.
Bob Trout, 2187 Bassett Court. The only question I have, since I haven't looked at the blueprints or anything.
Please speak into the microphone.
Sorry. The only question I have is, since I have not looked at the blueprints or anything else on primarily the townhomes, is there sufficient fire break between the crawl space or the attic space up there between housing units? Because a lot of the fires that have been happening, they don't have sufficient fire breaks between it. So that would be a question that I would ask. We need to keep our citizens or residents safe, so that would be it. Thank you.
Address that. Yeah, please address that question. Let's get it done.
Yeah, just a quick answer to that. Yes, there will be. They have to go through the Greene County Building Department, and all architectural plans, all floor plans have to meet modern building code per the Greene County requirements.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, my name is Mr. Ed Stanek. I'm at 3060 Willowbrook Way, Beavercreek, directly across from this development in the the ranch condominiums. They look more like a home rather than the multi-level. The complex is Brookstone Condominiums. It comprises approximately 300 units. 80 of those are basically independent, standalone type, well, in a complex way, a quad type arrangement of residential property. My main concern had been, and I spoke to a few people here on the commission or on the council, that when Lillian Lane was opened up to go to Lakeview with the construction of the I guess it's an elderly apartment complex or something. There was never a traffic study done on Lillian Lane. Now, the road has not been improved or done anything to since the inception of the complex, which was back, I believe, in 2000, somewhere in that range. I've been in there since 2001. So I've seen how that all developed. The roadway over the last 3 years has deteriorated considerably because there's a lot of offset traffic coming from Fairfield down around to avoid traffic lights along Fairfield and then come out at Lakeview by the Premier Hospital complex there and Chickaphil and that. So the concern that I have is, number one, that the inlet and outlet roads that are there, there was, I know Dr. Agrawal, who is the developer, I mean, he's the developer, right? Okay. Has good intentions, and I trust that they're going to do a good job and make the community better for it. But again, we are the, you could see the complex, there's 80 units there, and then A majority of the Brookstone goes from the Temple Lane south, past the Temple and then down towards the Lakeview area. So that's where a majority of the residents are in the multi-level garden apartments or condos. So Willowbrook is where you have on this plan, and I know Dr. Agrawal was going to have it accessed at a different point closer to between our, is that my time? Do I get an extra 2 minutes? Can somebody give me 3 minutes? Anyway, my concern is the roadway, to have the improvements of the roadway itself after construction, obviously, but to do a traffic study, see how many cars are going through now. Some go through Hillsdale, and some go to Lakeview.
I think we get your point. That I think we've had.
So that's where we have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're concerned.
Yeah. All right.
And the inlet and outlet there at Willowbrook, there's a drop down and a curve, and coming out of Willowbrook, I think that needs to be really examined closely.
We get your point. We understand what you're saying.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I will close the public portion, and I'll come over with council. Councilman Little, you have anything?
I guess I have a question. Is anybody aware in the city of traffic issues over in that area? I've driven through there many times. I haven't ever seen anything that I felt was concerned.
Yeah, good evening. I'm not aware of any big traffic complaints. It's not an area we typically receive calls about or anything of that nature.
Has there been any, is there a discussion, and you know, forgive me for my ignorance on this, after a large project like this, and you do have lots and lots of heavy equipment that'll be running in and out of there, up and down that road, is it common for a roadway to have major need of, I guess, repair?
Sure, and so sometimes it is, but in this particular case, the pavement is in need of some work out there. It's a little bit older pavement. We thought about doing it this year, but obviously with this project on the books, we're not going to spend city funds until after they finish their work, so we don't mess up the new asphalt.
Right. Okay. All right. That's not really all I had. Thanks. The builder, I have a question for you real quick. This actual property here, this is, all the landscape and everything looks great, and the actual property owners that will reside there required to upkeep property, or is it on the entirely?
I apologize, I should have mentioned this before, but each individual unit will be owner occupied, so they will be for sale units. There will be an HOA that then is responsible for maintaining landscaping and common space and those kinds of things. And by the way, I've been doing work here in Beavercreek for 35 years. Worked on Beavercreek Town Center, Fairfield Crossing, Rec Center, and the fact that you guys insisted on landscaping on North Fairfield Road. Now when I come to see my daughter and I drive down North Fairfield Road, you don't even know you're in a retail environment. And it's just a lot pleasant drive, which is kind of why the emphasis that we put on the landscaping. It does make a difference.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Councilman Dewar?
Well, I'd first like to thank the applicant for sharing plans with us, and for Mr. Burkett, as usual, your excellent professionalism in putting much of this together. I think I have 5 or so questions. When we rezoned, I made a note to myself because it had been floated that there was the potential that this would be a community for the 55 plus. I don't see anything on that on the plans. I'm assuming that did not move forward, but I thought I'd double check.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, they're targeting that, but there's no age restriction in the requirements. Typically, if we see an age-restricted community, that means they're going for higher density than even what, like the 6.0 would allow, because We look at impacts, like how much traffic impact, and a 55 and up community has less traffic than a non-55 and up community. So there's give and take. They meet that density.
Sure.
So they weren't trying to force a 55 and up
Great.
Designation.
Two tangential questions then. One is, do you anticipate school buses? It's possible they could go through, given school-age kids potentially.
I mean, these are two-way roads throughout. They are 25 feet wide, and we routed this to the fire department, and they didn't have any issues.
Sure.
There will be no parking on that far western side, just because we're going to have them also put a guardrail there because it's quite a steep drop-off. But yeah, because of those because the driveways come straight out, we don't want to see parking on that street there.
Because I think you're reading my next question is street parking, because there's off-site, which I really like. I like that being carved out. But can people also park on the streets? Or
Other than that
is
fire
everything
lane?
under the HOA going to be forced to the off-street parking that's being provided?
These roads are the size of every other neighborhood road, and
Okay.
we don't require that. Now, the HOA can do that on their own, and if there's a problem and a fire truck can't get through, then that's going to be a problem for the HOA as much as the fire department. So they're going to want to make sure that that's self-policing.
Because I'd recommend that to the HOA, because in reality, people will park on the street and there will be issues with emergency vehicles traversing. And if we can get ahead of this, that's just something I see with it, because sometimes common sense doesn't prevail when it comes to parking. And if the HOA can get ahead of it now, I think that'd be for the betterment of that community. So thanks for thinking through some of these things.
Sure.
Yep.
Can I address the comment that you helped clarify?
You've had your time at this point.
Clarifying this about school busing. It goes on Lillian Lane. They are.
No, he's talking about school busing going in the unit, so that's what that's about. I know school buses go down Lillian Lane.
The parking issue, our HOA restricts parking on.
That's your HOA. All HOAs are a little bit different, so we'll talk about that.
With regard to the northeast corner, connecting to the daycare, is there any fenced-off system, any extra?
I know the daycare
Shrubbery.
has fences there, and
But is there anything from the AMONDA that's going in there? I don't see it visually, but just
I believe it's a very, very steep hill
Yes,
as well.
it is.
I'm not aware of any
Okay.
physical barrier between this one and that, other than, they'll be putting street trees along the street, and then there is the existing landscaping, existing woods that is there now, and there's an intent to have those remain with this plan.
I'll float it to the rest of council if we consider the need for something additional, given that it is a daycare, some form of additional piece that would go, something that would make sense if you think it's fine the way it is.
Like a guardrail or something at the end of the cul-de-sac.
Not necessarily, but more, I guess that could be one idea, but others that would separate the two properties, just given that it's a daycare in particular. But I'll float that for the rest of you to consider. Final question, and this aligns with Mr. Stenick's questions, because I run this area a fair bit, so thank you for the sidewalk. That's going to be nice, because normally I go on the other side, so this is good. But the road is in need of repair. I think we're getting to that stage, but it would make sense to do it afterwards. I guess that's maybe more of a comment rather than a question.
Yeah,
I
this
think
is
I think
city
engineering
roads,
has it,
yeah.
planned ahead and they thought through this, so it doesn't concern me. But Mr. Stenick's points are well taken. The road is in need of some repair. So, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Garcia.
Yes, thank you. I think Mr. Mormon answered all of my questions. The one thing I would say to Councilmember Dewar's point is in looking at the daycare itself, there is a large fence around the property. So that I think that should be sufficient, in my opinion, given the way I see daycares operate with
Sure.
kids.
If we see
In
it
my
more,
experience, I
yeah.
think but yeah, so that may be enough. But also, too, just to the applicant, thank you so much for your thoughtfulness in the landscaping and seeing kind of what we're doing around the city. And I appreciate knowing somebody else appreciates it. But thank you for your thoughtfulness in that and for investing in our community. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kern.
I had just one question, Your Honor. Is there, Randy, is there anticipated a light at that one of those major access points to the northern one? That's already been pointed out is rather busy. Is there anticipation of any kind of a light there, or?
No, I mean, that hasn't been talked about. Really, to get a light, you have to get a warrant. You have to have a certain amount of traffic, and
But that's not being looked at. I think they can handle it.
I don't think that the 84 homes here would warrant a light.
All right.
That wouldn't.
Thank you. That's all, Your Honor.
Councilwoman Schwartz.
Randy, I'd have one question, kind of off of Mr. Stanik's question. Was there a traffic study done, and if not, why?
Well, this is being an impact fee district. The impact fees kind of offset any kind of traffic-related issues that might be brought up with this project. So if, for instance, Lillian needed an extra lane, being in the impact fee district, it would be up to the city to widen Lillian Lane with our impact fees, not the applicant. So we couldn't make them do that anyways. If, for instance, there was a lot of homes here and it warranted a light at one of these entrances, it would be up to the city to put the light in, not the applicant, because it's in the impact fee district. So anything that the traffic study would produce would be up to really the city to pay for to do.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And then will that be assessed or kind of taken into consideration when we're looking at the repaving of Lillian Lane in the following year?
The impact fees aren't for repaving or maintenance or anything like that. The impact fees are more for expansion of facilities. So widening lanes, adding turn lanes here or there. It's not for maintenance of existing lanes. That's up to the city to maintain the.
So I guess my question is, will that be thought through as you're resurfacing? I mean, if you're going to be doing work there and there is a need for a turn lane or some additional
Yeah, I'm
traffic
sure that
study.
engineering
Okay.
will take that under consideration as they're designing.
And then my one question, and perhaps you addressed it, but I may have missed it. That ravine, that deep ravine, nothing's going to happen to it. It's going to remain as
There's
is.
no plans to change that at this time.
Okay, perfect. And I don't think I have any additional questions. I also would like to thank the developer. This is a beautiful, beautiful site display or site plan. The architecture is just wonderful. And so thank you for coming to Beavercreek, and thank you for maintaining that high standard. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Bales.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got questions, I think, for everybody. I agree the asphalt condition on Lillian Lane is deteriorating. I admittedly cut through there to go to Aldi from my house all the time. And it's convenient. So, Mr. Mormon, maybe you could elaborate on the timing. You had indicated you thought about it this year, but are going to delay. I mean, is it something that the residents in that neighborhood can count on once the construction is finished, or?
Yeah, and absolutely. Yeah, we want to do it as soon as we can, but again, just to safeguard the city's investment in the new asphalt, we probably wait till all the heavy earthwork is done.
Okay.
And such. But yeah, hopefully sooner instead of later.
So, so I don't know what their timing is for construction, but I mean, perhaps 26 or 27.
I would definitely, yes, by 26, I'd say.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Randy, I did not notice any park fees in the conditions. Did I miss them?
No, they'll be required with this. It's not in a condition, and that can certainly be added, but they'll have to pay them prior to the release of any permit.
Okay, usually they're noted in one of the
Yeah, I might have
conditions. I didn't see it in.
missed putting them in, but they're still, I mean, we can add those in if if
Well, I
council
don't
wants
want
to.
to, I don't want to make extra work as long as they are required and they don't need to be a condition. I just want to make sure that they get
No,
paid.
they're still
It's in
conditions.
24.
Number 24.
Excuse me then. Sorry.
It says park fees shall be paid
I
in
just
lieu of
thought I saw
dedication to
them in there.
parkland.
Oh, there it is.
Sorry about that. Yes,
Sorry,
they are.
well, I apologize. I missed it.
And I ballparked those as well. I think it came out to, it just depends on land value after, they have to get it appraised, and it's a formula, and it's probably going to be around 60 to 90,000 in that range.
Okay, thank you. On the paperwork that we had, you know, that top left corner is labeled future development. And then there's a stub street in here and a retention pond. To me, that doesn't make any sense. So can we get rid of that stub street?
I-
Is it a parking space? It looks like
No, it is a stub street for the future development. And I call these kind of conceptual drawings as to where the detention basin would fall. And obviously, we're not going to put the detention basin right in line with the future street expansion. So that on final construction drawings, that detention base will be slid further to the northeast to allow a road to continue across.
So, Mr. Marshall, do you disagree with Randy's sentiment about it being accessed from that side then?
A developer once told me we can do anything if we want to spend enough money. So we don't want to preclude the ability to do that internally here. If by closing that stub street off, then somebody comes along and says, oh, no, we got to have that interconnectivity. If in the future when that develops, if it develops off of New Germany trade line, then we can come back and remove that stub and just put a curb through. So it's more about preserving the opportunity to do it without limiting our options.
Okay. I have one more for you, too.
Sure.
And maybe it's for both of you. I think the plans look beautiful, and you have shown a tremendous amount of landscaping. And one of the conditions requires you to submit a landscape design. Can we be assured that what we've seen in these plans is going to be submitted? I mean, because it's really
I mean,
elaborate.
there's no intent to do like a bait and switch here where we want to put the amount of street trees in that we're showing because that provides some interest as you're walking around rather than just a bunch of driveways. And the landscaping we're showing around the buildings are for the enjoyment of the residents of each building. So it's to our benefit to put that landscaping in. It's our product is the lifestyle that we're selling. It's not like Walmart, their products inside and they really don't care about the landscaping outside. It's a necessary evil. To us, this creates a sense of place and belonging, and the more we cheap on that, the
Well, I wholeheartedly agree.
Okay.
I mean, I'm agreeing with what you, I just want to make sure that what we see is what we get.
And I think, you guys are approving this specific site plan, right? Which is this document. So in order to modify this document, we need to come back and either do a minor modification or a major modification. So, and that would be Randy's call.
Yeah. I'm ultimately the one that approves the final landscape plan. These are in conceptual. The final one will look pretty much identical. It's just they'll have the actual species and diameters and all that listed. So that's why we don't require at this stage for them to nail down all the species of trees and just kind of show where they're going to put trees. But when we get to the final stage, before I release the permit, it's going to list all the species, the cost of each species, so that we can set up a bond amount and that all goes into the final plan. But it'll look very, very similar, if not identical to this.
Excellent. Speaking of that, we've had some discussion recently with our sidewalk program about street trees. And they've got a lot. I mean, are you going to be able to specify or work with the developer to specify the trees that won't impact the sidewalks like we're dealing with
Yeah, we'll make sure that the species are correct and probably push them a little bit further back from the sidewalk as well, so they're not, so whatever their root system growth is, it doesn't push up on the sidewalk at a later date.
Okay. And are these private roads?
The internal will be private, yeah.
Internal's private, okay. Okay, yeah, the parking issue, Councilman Dewar, it is a big issue. I mean, even in public roads in neighborhoods, if they're allowed to park on either side of the road, it almost becomes a one-lane road in many cases. So, because they're private roads, I think I'm inclined to leave it up to the HOA, but I would encourage them to limit parking to one side or the other of the road. Because I mean, it's hard to get through some neighborhoods, including mine, at times. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Well, I know with my complex, we have private roads, and we're not allowed to park on the street overnight. So, I don't know, that's the HOA that does that. It all depends on what you guys decide there, because they are private roads. And I think you take care of your own snow removal and things like that, since they will be private. Okay. I think that last one was the question I had, was private roads, and that was the last one. Anything else? Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I move for the purpose of taking administrative action, approval of specific site plan for PUD 22-4 AMONDA on the basis that City Council finds the facts submitted with the application and accompanying materials satisfy the standards and criteria set forth in Section 158.066, standards and criteria for specific site plan approval within the Beavercreek City Zoning Code. I further move that this motion, with all conditions below, and there are 24, be fully recorded in the minutes of this council meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve PUD 22-4. I'm not going to repeat everything you said. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go build your complex. Public hearing, zoning code changes.
PC 25-1, zoning code changes, ordinance 25-03. An ordinance amending Chapter 158 by making certain additions, deletions, and changes to various sections of the zoning code in accordance with Chapter 158.175.
Yes, thank you. I'm
Welcome
both
back.
the applicant and staff on this presentation, so you get a twofer here and make it quick. When the charter was changed at the last election, there was some changes as to how we are able to advertise meetings and advertise public hearings, but the zoning code specified that they had to be in the newspaper at least 15 days prior, and so we wanted to update the zoning code to reflect the same language that the charter changes were and give us the opportunity to advertise those public hearings on other media. What it says is either in the newspaper of general circulation or on the city's website or in other media forums as allowed by law. There's a lot of benefits to having multiple choices rather than one singular choice. Just wanted to point out for council and anybody listening, this won't stop us from being required to send out notifications to everybody within 500 feet. They'll still get their letters. It's just we won't necessarily advertise the meeting in the newspaper, but rather put it on the city's website or the newspaper or any other media allowed by law. So that's the crux of the changes you have before you this evening.
This is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak to this, please step forward, give your name and address. You have 3 minutes, and you can have 6 more given to you.
Sounds good. Bob Trout again, 2187 Bassett Court, Beavercreek. My question is, if you take it and put it on social media and everything else, you are going to be impacting senior citizens, people that don't have smartphones other than just track phones, and also possibly the financially disadvantaged folks that can't afford a cell phone or don't go on social media or anything else like that. I'm just making it a point that there are others that will not be able to, or get notified or anything else like that if you don't put it in a newspaper, or if you don't send letters. So, and I understand the expense of sending it to everybody. I'm not asking that. But at least pick a means that where people that don't have the social media or the electronic equipment that would facilitate that, please be sensitive to that. And there's an awful lot in Beavercreek that don't have that access. So I'm good to go. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion of this meeting. Council. Any input? I'll let you speak up.
I do have one question, Mr. Burkett. Just can you give us an example of what this will practically look like, so we can give some answers to Mr. Trout? Just, when there's a public hearing, notice of a public hearing, what comes next?
Well, if we have a rezoning on 123 Main Street, we would do a search of everybody within 500 feet of 123 Main Street, get their addresses, and send letters to everybody within that 500 feet. And then would have Katie put it on our website and also post a notice down in the first floor of City Hall as well, that there's going to be the day and time and location of the public hearing. So we will hit everyone within the 500 feet who are most directly impacted by that rezoning project. And we found that word of mouth is pretty extensive. I mean, I've had cases in here where people who don't live within 500 feet are still here because they heard from their neighbors or their friends, or they heard through social media of a rezoning case that they didn't agree with or agree with, and come and voice their opinion. So, I mean, I guess what the intent here is just to follow along with what the charter says, and do what the charter says for not only planning and zoning cases, but also every other public hearing that City Council has.
Is there a plan to utilize Facebook, other means of social media?
I believe that's the communications.
Got to be careful of Katie's workload and just adding something additional. But
We'll still produce, as we've done in the past, we'll still produce whatever that public notice is. It's just how it gets out to the public is going to be on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
And as I recall, the public did vote for this
Yes.
change.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So can I just
Please.
dive just a little bit deeper? Is your intent for the new standard to be the letters, the 500-foot letters, obviously required, but then the website and downstairs?
That's the intent, yes.
Okay. And then as you feel like maybe it's a bigger issue or something needs expanded upon, perhaps then other means. But I just want to understand our new standard practice is going to be website and mail.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Anyone else?
I do have a question, maybe suggestion, and it would be kind of along the lines of Councilmember Doors. I don't know if it's something that we've considered in the past or in the future, and kind of dependent on Katie's workload as well, but I do think maybe there would be a benefit to maybe like one monthly Facebook posting of all of the upcoming rezonings and things that are going to be happening for the month, and what meetings that those would occur at, so that at least it puts the residents on notice outside of the website as well. for people who don't frequently visit the website, but at least it kind of puts it out in the public eye. But just a suggestion for consideration.
I would also encourage people, we have a sign up on our webpage. You put your email in, and then any time there's a public notice goes out, any events that go out, all that, you get that email. So if you're interested in being part of every single public notice, I would encourage you to go to that website and sign your
Maybe a
And
social
it's-
media post just highlighting that and reminding our citizens that that option is also available. That's great. Thanks, Randy.
And as someone that did sign up for that, you do get a lot of them. Anyone else? Do I have a motion?
Have a motion to move ordinance 2503 to the second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move ordinance 2503 to the second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinances, resolutions, and PUDs. Ordinance 25-01.
Ordinance 25-01, an ordinance to declare certain city-owned property interests as surplus and to approve the conveyance of a perpetual easement for highway purposes over city-owned property, generally known as the Creekside Trail Bike Path, and as Greene County Auditor parcel number B42-6-25-0-88.
And this is a second reading of this. Anything else from council? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 25-01.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 25-01. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Resolution 25-04.
Ordinance 25-04, a resolution declaring the necessity for the construction or repair of certain sidewalks, curbs, or gutters in the city of Beavercreek, Ohio.
Mr. Mormon.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. As you know, 2024 was the very first year of a sidewalk program for the city of Beavercreek. So I thought maybe it would be helpful for me to hit some of the highlights of the 24 program before we talk about the upcoming 2025 program. Yeah, if we could. Yeah.
Randy, have a quick.
Oh, Randy. Sidebar. Sorry. Thank you, Randy. Let's see, 2024, there were really primarily two neighborhoods where the work happened. Hunter's Ridge neighborhood, which is off of the Beaver Valley Road, and Coy Homestead, which is just south of Shakertown Road. We eliminated 26 tripping hazards, and again, a big goal is to keep these neighborhoods walkable and to eliminate those type of hazards to pedestrians. We got very lucky last year. We got a very, very good price from our contractor, $18 a square foot. Which kind of leads into the next point, the overall positive feedback from homeowners. Again, we weren't sure what we were getting into in the engineering division. This is the first year we've done a program like this. And, we were very glad to see, a lot of the homeowners were glad to see these issues getting fixed. They knew they were problems. I know one lady in Hunter's Ridge, she, during Halloween, she would put up a cone where the big trip hazard was so the kids didn't hit it. And she was very glad to get that repaired. So I think there's only maybe one homeowner I had to meet with and discuss the program. There were a total of 25 property owners involved, and you can see the vast majority paid in full. We have only 7 potential assessments, and it's a little bit over $3,700 is what the assessment's going to amount to. And that'll be coming up in a future meeting, probably in March. We'll talk more about the potential assessments. 2025 program. It's a little bit larger program as again, last year we had 25 properties. We're looking at 49 properties for 2025. We're hitting a couple more neighborhoods as well. Ashland Hills, Grasslands Run, Country Park, and Farmbrook are all planned to be touched, parts of those neighborhoods with the 2025 program. I'm a little bit more conservative when I estimated the cost. Again, we're hopeful we'll get a number closer to what we had last year, but I used the number of $24 a square foot. So we're looking at roughly $31,000 on the high end. And again, I hope that'll be lower once we open bids on that. The City Council approves the resolution, kind of just a couple of the next steps. I will take the copy of the resolution, the cover letter, and the flyer. You see a sample there off to the right that explains everybody's options under the program. They'll go out to all those 49 homeowners for them to look at. Just like last year, we'll give them 60 days to hire their own contractor, and if they don't hire their own contractor after that 60 days, our contractor will go ahead and fix the sidewalk issues. And the bid opening is coming up very soon, February 20th. We'll know exactly what that price is going to be. So when we send those letters out to everybody, we'll have the actual bidder dollar amount so we can accurately tell them what we're projecting as far as their cost will be. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council?
I have one question. For the, I think there were 7 or so that were assessed, did the owners opt for assessment, or was it just no correspondence?
Sure. Kind of what we do is we'll, at the completion of the program, when we have all the final costs and final measurements, we'll mail out the invoice to the homeowner. Those were 7 people that never responded to that letter, so our assumption is they didn't want to pay. I had some people ask me about partial payments, and it was around Christmas time, too, I think the letters went out, so I think that might have played a role in that, too. So.
Right. And we don't do any follow-up, we're just going to assess?
Yeah, what we do is we have to publish in the newspaper, and it's being published right now. We have to publish for, I think it's 3 or 4 weeks, and then we give them 2 weeks after that last publication where they can come and they can file a written objection to the assessment. So there's that opportunity for everybody out there. Any of those 7 people can come in, file a written objection where City Council can consider that.
Okay. And then you already answered the other question I had, which was whether those letters will contain the accurate bid. So that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I very much appreciate the update. I voted against Resolution 24-10, and I think my concerns remain. I think we had a robust discussion, debate over this, and I still have my opposition, but really do appreciate the update. There's a lot of positive news in there, and I don't intend to filibuster or stand in the way. These were votes of 5-2 and 4-2, and I respect City Council and their positions on it, but I just want to put out my own position. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I agree. I think Councilmember Dewar and I were in the same boat. But now that this has passed and it's going forward, I appreciate all the hard work that you put into it, and I think this it's a good program that you've put together.
Great, thank
So
you.
thank you.
In 2024, how many of those issues were curb or gutter compared to sidewalk?
The curb and gutter is funded 100% by the city.
Okay.
So they were all lifted sidewalks primarily. And if you look on the list for 2025, I did the same thing in 24, where the feature to be corrected is listed in the sheet there.
Okay. So is the resolution worded correctly? Because it does mention curb and gutter.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what we got from the attorney last year. It's similar to last year. But when attachment A only specifies sidewalks, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure, because I know that we talked a little bit about that, and I thought we had chosen, and we weren't all even in agreement, on just sidewalks only.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. It's only for sidewalks, and the city funds curb ramps as well as, if we got to lower the curb for like a driveway, we'll do the approach and all that work too.
I mean, I think it's appropriate to take out the words curb and gutter, but I'll defer to our attorney, but it doesn't seem right since it's only a sidewalk assessment.
I totally understand.
Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, if it's not part of the program, it makes sense to take out the language from the title.
That's all I have.
Now, is
Page
it-
92 of the.
You said it's in an attachment?
There's an attachment with it that lists every property owner, then it lists like
Okay, so
the
it
amount of
doesn't-
sidewalk and the feature to be fixed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can,
92, and I guess
Make a
94
motion
as
to
well,
take it out.
the summary.
yeah.
Are we,
Make a motion to amend?
I don't mind doing
Okay,
it.
go
I
ahead.
just didn't know if anyone had any more
I just
questions.
had one
Sure.
question, and How is the sidewalk repair program, is it at all connected with people that have side paths that run past their properties, or are they handled completely different?
Sure, the side paths are handled differently. We had a legal opinion a number of years ago where sidewalks are not eligible for street levy monies. However, side paths are eligible for street levy monies. So
Okay.
there's been a distinction with that, and we've, over the past many years, we've dedicated a little bit of street levy money and general fund money for the repair of side paths.
Okay. I'd like to get a side path in front of my house.
Yes.
I have no sidewalks. Thank you. That's all I
Thank you.
have.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to amend Resolution 25-04 to remove any mention of curb or gutters in the title or in any of the whereases
It's also throughout.
and throughout the text. Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to amend the resolution to take out curbs and gutters throughout the whole thing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
I make a motion to amend, or to approve Resolution 25-04 as amended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 25-04 as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion's passed. Resolution 25-05.
Resolution 25-05, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the city of Fairborn for this project known as the Beaver Valley Road Reconstruction Project.
Yes, good evening again. There's a stretch of Beaver Valley Road right at the very northern border of the city of Beavercreek and the southern border of the city of Fairborn. It's a piece of concrete pavement that's in pretty bad condition. So I got with the city engineer of the city of Fairborn, and he and I both agree the best route is to do a joint project to remove the concrete pavement and put down the full depth asphalt pavement. So again, you have an agreement before you to have that project go forward. The way that everything is split pretty fairly, where any work that occurs in Fairborn will be billed to Fairborn, and obviously any work in Beavercreek is billed to us. The city of Beavercreek would be the lead agency on this project, so we would advertise for bids. It would be our inspectors on site. And then at the very end of the project, once final costs are known, we'll send a bill to Fairborn and they'll reimburse us for their costs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That road is terrible.
It's in rough shape,
For
yes.
years, I've
It needs
It's-
help.
worked
There's no
on that,
question.
and I appreciate you taking the lead in doing it.
Thank you.
I
Any
guess
input?
in follow-up to that, and I know the answer probably, but could you tell us why we can't begin until 2026?
Yeah, when I spoke with Fairborn, they have a lot of work planned for this year. And for them, budget-wise, it worked a lot better in 2026.
Okay. I agree. It's very, very much needed. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your work on this. I think echo the sentiments. It's a very good idea, much needed. Two questions. One is, what's the status of this at Fairborn City Council? I'm assuming they're after us in the line, waiting for us.
That's correct. Yeah, I think later on this month, when I spoke with him on Friday, I think I forget the exact date he had, but it's a week or two from now. The Fairborn City Council is going to consider the same thing, same agreement.
Thank you. What's the rough division of cost? I know it says within here, Beavercreek on Beavercreek side, Fairborn on Fairborn side, but what's the rough division in your
Sure.
mind? Approximate.
Yeah, generally, I'd say it's about 70-30, 70% Beavercreek, 30% Fairborn.
Thank you. No, I'm good. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else?
Move to approve Resolution 25-05.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 25-05. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Can't believe it. 2 years. I wanted to congratulate the Beavercreek cheer competition squad this past weekend. They got 6th at nationals, which is just outstanding. And as a former cheerleader myself, I know that's such a difficult feat. So congratulations to them on that. And that's really all I have today. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. I actually have a presentation. Mr. Vanna White is going to pull it up here for me. But while he is doing that, I will not keep you with bated breath. Yes. Okay. So MVRPC had our meeting last week. MVRPC is seeking a designation through the Department of Energy's Soul Smart program. Basically, this will provide mainly solar rooftop opportunities for local organizations. By MVRPC's partnership with this, basically what this means is that it will allow MVRPC members to be connected with experts who can help in this area. MVRPC's entire goal is to increase the number of people who have, or the number of communities that have a designation through Soul Smart. As of January, Springboro is the only local member with a designation. It'll offer no-cost technical assistance to help local governments follow national best practices in the staging, planning, and operational support. Can you go to the next slide, please? I think those are the only 2 ones I gave you, right? I talked a little faster. There we go. So the very last slide, if you go one more on, basically this is what it will do. So if this is something the city would be interested in, this is how our organization can go about getting some free expert advice on how this would work, if this is even practical for us. I know that this has come before MVRPC in the past, and I brought it to council as some opportunities for solar and different options. But the big factor we keep reverting back to is whether or not it's cost efficient for us. What are the takeaways? What are the give and takes of all of this? So just something for staff and council to consider. If this is a path we want to go down, we would have now this free opportunity through MVRPC because they are joining in this group. Okay, the only other thing I have is to talk about the Super Street project from MVRPC. So I may have been the only one who misunderstood this because I was not on council when this came through, but since this was brought to us as a temporary solution through ODOT, my understanding was temporary meant ODOT was going to fix this at some point in time. Unfortunately, my understanding was incorrect. ODOT's only obligation to us was to, quote, do surveys throughout, I think it was a 15-year stint. So we, the city, thank you so much for staff for applying for that, did apply for funding through this. It came before MVRPC, mainly for the funding request for detailed design and land acquisition. It came through MVRPC as a recommended project, and the 3 levels are recommended, priority, and I forget the lower level one. I apologize. Jeff, do you remember what that's called? It's like allowed or so, I don't know. It's the lowest level. We did not get the lowest level, but it is a recommended project. So I very loudly stood up during the meeting and explained that while it is a recommended project and while it isn't something that is, I guess, entirely ripe for funding in the sense of a priority, it very much should be considered a priority. I outlined all the cities that were affected, the county that's also affected, and our staunch position that this should be reconsidered as a priority. So that is not something that MVRPC members can change. We are not able to change the designation. We are only able to vote on what is put before the members. There is a meeting, I believe, tomorrow for the organization to reevaluate how they are going to categorize the programs, and I specifically and I guess officially made the request that it be changed from a recommended to a priority project. So it has already been approved by MVRPC. The MVRPC does not have the funding for it. It would have to come from the DDC. So I think those are further conversations that we can explore. But as I said in the past, we are not the only ones affected by this, and I don't think we as a city should be the only ones who have to pay for this. I think in this specific situation, it is going to fall primarily on the city for several reasons, but I do think there is wiggle room for the county to get involved with this, so I think we need to continue exploring the relationships and conversations we've been having with our fellow local elected officials and see if there is anything that we can do. I know there's a lot of challenges right now that are completely outside of our control, even though our staff has been working incredibly hard behind the scenes, but I just wanted to bring that update to the table. The next meeting for MVRPC, we are going to be going over voting for the executive committee, of which I've been a member for probably the last 6 years. So we'll be going through that again, that voting cycle. Otherwise, that is about it for me. If you have any questions on MVRPC or where we are with this, let me know. But our city manager and our staff have been absolutely fantastic and diligent in trying to do anything possible to address the issues for that super street. There's just only so much within our control that we can do. But I commend the manager and the staff for everything they have done so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Attended the Beavercreek Women's League meeting last Wednesday, and they had a presentation on eagles, interestingly enough, Orville and Wilbur, among others. But they were talking, the gentleman there was talking about this fascination of eagles, and that was very interesting. They also brought up their April scholarship lunch coming up, and try to encourage people to buy a seat, $40, to support a very, very worthy cause of giving some young ladies an opportunity to finish their education, and that's always been a very worthy cause. Attended the mayor's first Thursday. That was certainly on par, Your Honor, with many of the other sites that we've had. Thirdly, also attended the reception today for our new Recreation and Senior Citizens Director, Ms. Truax, and had a nice crowd out for that. I think she'll do an excellent job. The head of the Senior Citizen Center has a great personality and a great background that she brings to that facility. And I think that would be it, Your Honor. Oh, yeah, I've got this list, don't I? Right, pardon me. Everybody can turn their attention. Happy anniversary. Danielle Rollinson, Public Service, 2 years. Gary Holcomb, Public Service, 5. Casey McCain, Police, 3. Doe Jardin, Police, 3 years. Travis O'Neill, 3 years. Joseph Thacker, Police, 5. Brittany McCormick, 7. Ryan Stein, 7 years. Cynthia Peffley, 10. And Tracy Kaufman, Police, 26 years. So again, congratulations to all of these city employees, and thank you for your service. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mayor. I also had the opportunity to attend the mayor's event. That was a good time, and I encourage anyone that hasn't been out to On Par to check that place out. That place is impressive. They do a great job out there. I just wanted to mention, I got to see Mr. Mormon there on TV doing a good job. Lots of big projects coming up. Actually, it's funny. I think all the projects are wonderful, and it's actually almost frustrating to me when people ask me about them because I get lost in them. There's so many things coming up. You do a great job on that. Also, all the citizens' complaints, Mr. Burkett and Mr. Funk, dealing with citizens, I think you guys do a wonderful job in communicating and actually taking the time to. It's not easy, and coming from somebody that had to do some conflict resolution stuff in the past, it's not fun. It's a necessity though, and I think you guys do a great job. Really do. Both sides of the fence, they're both part of the city, right? I mean, you just got to try to get everybody to get along. Can't anybody just get along? But you do a good job. Thank you for that. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple speaking engagements forthcoming. This is in person. That's different. So, but appreciate it. Thanks. March the 20th, I'm speaking at the St. Leonard's community in Centerville. The topic is U.S.-Russia relations. So, looking forward to that. And usually, a few people from Beavercreek go. And then I'm speaking at the University Baptist Church Men's Conference on March 28th and 29th. So I'm looking forward to that. And then on a sadder note, I would like to offer my condolences to the family of Cedarville University student Grace Maxwell, who died in the American Airlines 5342 crash with the Army Black Hawk helicopter. And to wish condolences to the rest of the families and those in the service that lost their lives as well. So, thank you, Mayor.
We got shut off, I'm sorry. Yeah, because she had gone to her dad's funeral. That's the reason she was gone. So.
Grandfather. Yeah.
Grandfather, that's right, I'm sorry. Vice Mayor Bales.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to let the council know that on Wednesday, I'm going to be attending the age-friendly meeting sponsored by MVRPC. I know that we had applied for a grant. We have secured a grant for some work there, so I'm going to attend that meeting. The Golf Advisory Board meeting is next week. I will report back at our next council meeting regarding that. I too went to Carrie Traux's reception today at the Senior Center. First time I'd gotten to meet her, and I think she's going to be a fantastic addition to our team there. And then the last thing is that I spoke to a Boy Scout or a Cub Scout troop. They had to come to a community meeting or a council meeting. They're going to be attending next Monday. I just thought I'd give you a heads up at our work session and listen to that. Tuesday. And I did tell them Tuesday. I told them Tuesday. They're going to be coming next Tuesday to our work session, and they would love for a few of us to stick around for some Q&A afterwards.
Another one?
That's all I've got.
Thank you very much. In addition to the Beavercreek Women's League having their annual thing, the Violence Free Futures is having their annual Spring Fling, April 11th. That's their big fundraiser. That's kind of one of those things that I'm partial to because I serve on the board along with Vice Mayor Bales. I was invited to attend the Wright State Raiders game to recognize the Take Flight program, which is a scholarship program for academically accomplished students to cover up to 18 hours of credit each year, or tuition each year. Spoke to several of the students. They're pretty sharp. It's a really good program, give them an opportunity to go to college and get their degrees. They do have to maintain a 3.2 GPA or higher, which is, for some people, very easy. For some of us, not so. I attended a seminar also at Wright State for why child care matters for business success. It was an interesting presentation. Governor DeWine was there and several other people. And with all of the new businesses that are coming into Ohio, especially around this area with Joby and Intel and Honda and all of these, child care is becoming very important for a lot of people because it's just not an affordable way to do things anymore. I remember when my kids were younger, I still paid like $200 or $300 a week for it, and it's just ridiculous now. So it's one of the big things that they're really looking hard at to try to come up with a way to address that. If you get the opportunity, I was invited out to a special presentation at the museum, Air Force Museum, for the ocean experience. If you get an opportunity to go do that, go do it. It's an interactive thing. You kind of go through a whole process like what the scientists and the technicians and everyone does. There's a lot of interactive points there. You do pay for it. It's a little bit of money to pay, but if it's an educational thing, you can sign up in advance, and they will take the kids through for free. So, but I was tagging whales and all kinds of things out there. So they offer a lot of things to do there. So, City Manager and I attended the DDC annual meeting this past week at the Dayton Convention Center. It's really amazing what the DDC and Jobs Ohio is doing around this area for new job opportunities for a lot of people. I mean, I don't know, what was the number with 2,500 or so jobs that are going wanting or more. It's just amazing what's out there. And had an opportunity today to ride around the Green Cats transit bus in recognition of Ohio Loves Transit Week. It was kind of interesting to go around and do that. And they are giving away free rides on Friday if anyone's interested in Green Cats, so they will be doing that. And I, too, went to the Senior Center and met Carrie. She actually is from Westfield, Indiana, which is where my son lives. So I thought that was kind of cool. But that's all I have. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quickly for the city manager's report, Cocoa with Cops, Friday, February 21st, 9 to 11 a.m. This is one of our outreaches at Beavercreek Kroger. So come and visit us. Join the Beavercreek Police and Greene County Sheriffs as well to have a cup of cocoa and talk with officers. It probably will still be cold, so the cocoa will taste good that early in the morning. Get to know our officers that serve you and ask questions that you may have and share your concerns. Open house this week for the Thoroughfare Plan this Wednesday, so it's just in 2 days, February 12th, right here, 5 to 7 p.m. at City Hall Chambers. The city would like to invite the public to provide input on draft of the city's updated Thoroughfare Plan. This plan serves to identify locations and type of roadways needed to support projected growth and to make efficient use of infrastructure, road functions, and funding. The city updates this plan every 5 years. So please join Randy. He would love to have somebody come and discuss instead of sitting here 2 hours by himself as in the past. So please come keep Randy company. And please provide your input. I didn't check today, but I know I checked on Friday and it was filling up the Veterans program. There are just a few spots open as of last Friday, so I believe there still may be a few open. The applications are due by March 31st or until all spots are been filled. Information and the application can be found on the city's website, beavercreekohio.gov/veteran. And there's a limited, there's like 62 polls that we can use, first come, first serve. And of course, this will be displayed annually. But this banner program goes from Memorial Day through Veterans Day, so the people will be honored. Take advantage of this. On a personal note, my dad will be flying high on this time. I didn't do it last year because I wanted to give others opportunity, but now he's deceased. And I don't get the chance to honor him while he's living. So I would suggest anybody that has a loved one, the resident has to be here, but the loved one that they're honoring, the veteran that they're honoring, doesn't have to live here and doesn't have to be deceased. Honor them while they're alive, is all I could say from a personal note. I know he's looking down and will be looking down and be proud at the banner, but I wish I would have done it last year. Take advantage of it. On another note, President's Day, Monday. So city's offices will be closed February 17th in observation of President's Day. And, of course, as always, for non-emergencies, contact Beavercreek Police Department Dispatch at 426-1225. And always, if emergency, 911. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you very much. Now it's citizen comment time. You can address council on any subject. As usual, you have 3 minutes. Please, if you come up, please state your name and your address.
I can make it a little bit easy. I got some don't have enough, you might be able to look over shoulders. Bob Trout, 2187 Bassett Court. And I got some comments, and we're going to start off with the continuing period of time levies. Talked to a bunch of my compadres and everything else, and we'd like to let you know that we appreciate that, because we're now clearly considering that your total permanent budgetary requirements for the duration and the type of levies in force. That's how we're looking at it. Your permanent levies do factor in new home and builds and increase revenue, and also the value assessment increases will also increase the revenue. So from a lot of folks, we'd like you to stop nickel and diming us on the levies and please stay within the budget, all right? Spring Hill Park is another one. It says, as we know, the voters rejected it and don't want any funding of any kind to go to improve that property. So any grants or funding to be used should only go to the existing neighborhood parks. So trying to get that point across. The other item is Xenia is very heavily pursuing an economic development area to bring business to their area. And their intent is, because I've talked to some of the folks, they want to pull some of the folks that's been coming to Beavercreek back into Xenia. Conversely, it says Beavercreek folks could probably get pulled over there. So if that is the case, I'd like to ask the council, what is the council doing to counter that economic challenge? What are you doing to stop the hemorrhaging of businesses closing down in Beavercreek? And there's been a lot of them, and very few coming back in and in the green. And what are you doing to bring new business into our city? So haven't seen that much, and we're kind of curious on it. The last thing is the federal administration, as we know, got voted in, and they are cutting costs and implementing some much-needed changes. So we need to be ready to support that, because there's going to be a big demand on us to go forward with it. So again, let's look at it with a critical eye towards fiscal prudence and stability, manage our resources better. If we need to make hard cuts, we need to look at doing that. And that's pretty much the extent of what I have to say, and I thank the council for allowing us the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm available if anybody ever has questions or anything else like that. Mr. Dewar does know how to get in contact with me. Thank you again.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close the public portion of the meeting and turn it over to Mr. Curran.
Move to adjourn, Your Honor.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.